Lancel here for Let's Discuss with Lancel. Happy to welcome Francis Cassol, drummer for Rage in My Eyes, to the program. Francis, how are you?
I'm great, Lance. How you doing, man?
I am doing excellent. We met up
Happy to hear.
after I posted a video from the band on one of my Facebook pages and
Correct.
got investigating a little bit more and just killer stuff. And I wanted to talk to you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I mean, I'm happy that you like our stuff. We've been around for quite a while now. And just trying to make good music and just, pretty much doing what we believe is what we want to do. This, we got together and many years ago. Each one of us bringing, their own like influences and all that, and trying to create like fresh music and cool heavy music that people hopefully will enjoy.
Definitely. Anybody who's a metal fan will love this stuff. Now, you're going to have to help me on a lot of pronunciations here. Now, the band went by a different name for 17 years.
Yeah, that's correct.
And what was that name?
Okay, so the band's from Brazil. Okay,
right.
So we had previously we had like a kind of like a Latin name.
Okay.
Okay, so you can pronounce it Celerata or Scelerata.
Okay.
So it has like an SC. It starts with an SC.
Right.
Okay, so that's why some people pronounce it like Scelerata. Like it would be like an SK.
Right.
Or just Celerata.
And drop the S.
So yeah, we went under that name for like you said, 17 years, and then after like a long journey working with that name, we just figured out that people like especially from foreign countries were having like a hard time pronouncing the name.
Okay.
Pronouncing and if you can't pronounce the name, how are you going to remember the name, and how are you going to reproduce the name? So we just figured out that we had to do something about it, and finally we did. And to be honest with you, I was never like a big fan of the name,
Okay.
And I wanted to do something about it like quite a while ago. But since we were working with that name for several years, you kind of have double thoughts about it. I mean, should we change it? I mean, after all these years, or should we just keep going?
Right.
And then we just thought, well, let's just keep going until finally reached the point that we just realized that we couldn't go any further with a hard name to pronounce. So that's why we changed the name. But with the name Scelerata, man, we've done a lot, especially in Brazil. Where we're originally from. We put out 3 albums that were all released worldwide. We recorded in Germany with this fantastic producer called Charlie Bauerfeind.
Okay.
We were Paul Diano's former Maiden. We were his backing band for 5 tours in Brazil. So yeah, man, we did quite a lot.
Yeah.
But like I said, we just thought it was time for a change, and that's what we did.
Where did Rage in My Eyes come from?
Okay, so Rage in My Eyes. First of all, we think it's a cool name.
Yeah.
And also, it expresses our, let's say, how pissed we are with the world.
Yeah.
How we think that how things could be better, and so it's pretty much going like down that road. Yeah.
Very cool. So you put out 3 albums as Scelerata, and now your first album, Ice Cell, as Rage in My Eyes, came out 2019, correct?
Correct, yes.
Tell us a little bit about I like the cover art and the title of the album, Ice Cell, sort of intrigued me as well. So let's see, cover art. I got a note here. Oh, I'm not even going to try this name. I know it starts with the T and
what?
The cover art. The gentleman's name starts with a T. It's like T-I something, and the last name is like Mazzotti or something like that.
Oh yeah. So that's the artist who did the cover. His name is Tiago.
Okay.
Massetti.
Okay.
So it's like an Italian last name.
Okay.
Tiago is his first name.
Okay.
Dude, I gotta tell you this. I mean, not only he's a great artist, but he's a fantastic singer. Oh, okay. He has his own band called Daydream 11. 11 in Roman numerals.
Okay.
You should definitely check them out. I mean, they're fantastic, amazing prog metal band. And he's a fantastic singer. I mean, you got to check him out. So yeah, so he has these, like double qualities, as an artist and as a lead singer. So yeah, so the cover art, the artwork for the cover, so it's a clown looking to his reflection in the mirror.
Okay.
And the cover of the corners of the mirror, they're like icy, right?
Yeah.
So in Scalarata's previous albums, we had a clown in our covers, but it wasn't like a humanized clown. It was like like a zombie-ish kind of clown.
Okay.
So for this album, we wanted to keep the clown because we wanted to keep the Scalarata roots. Okay. But we wanted to present him in a different way. So that's why we presented him in actually like a human.
Okay.
Human figure, right?
Right.
And well, the ice has a lot to do with the name of the album, Icel, and the mirror has to do. It's like a black mirror, and that has to do with one of the tracks, which is called "Surrounded by Black Mirrors."
Yes.
So that's pretty much how the artwork came together.
Okay.
And the name of the album, it's kind of like a little pronunciation kind of game that we came up with, because if you just hear the name I sell, it can be a lot of things.
Right.
It could be like I sell, like I'm selling something.
Sure.
It could be I sell like your eyes.
Right.
Like like the cell of an eye.
Okay.
It could be as it's written, like in a prison cell, like a cold prison cell.
Right.
So, that's everything that we thought when we were coming up with the name of the album, and we actually, that name I Sell, we originally thought of it, for the name of the band, the new name I Sell, but then we just thought that it would be like best to keep it like as an album name or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now the band is based in Brazil, but you're in LA, correct?
Yeah, I've been living in LA for 3 years and a half, pretty much.
So for the recording of the album, did you record your parts in LA and the rest of the band was in Brazil? Or did you go to Brazil? They come up here? How did that work?
Well, I recorded the drums in LA.
Okay.
And the guys from the band recorded in Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we got the album mixed in LA with a Brazilian producer called Adair Dalfenbach. So that guy has a German name, so Brazil's kind of weird because, we have kind of like America, immigration from lots of different parts of the world.
Absolutely.
So we have a bunch of Italian descendants and German and Polish, Africans, and native Brazilians, I would say.
Right.
So then the album was mixed in LA, and this producer, Adair Dalfenbach, he's been working with artists like Tony McAlpine, and Dirk Verbeuren, who is Megadeth's drummer, also Kiko Loureiro, who is Megadeth's guitarist, who's also Brazilian, drummer Achilles Priester, who's been playing with Wasp. So he has a pretty cool, curriculum.
And then you had another producer, Magnus, is it Wickham?
Wichman.
Okay.
Yeah, so Magnus, he's the guitarist of the band. Yeah, so it's like Adair produced the drum parts in LA, and Magnus produced, all the other guys in the band, and then Adair mixed the whole thing.
Okay. All right. And then it was an independent release, right?
Yes, independent release, yeah.
Nice. Definitely. Do you find it, the music world, easier to do it that way, or would you rather? I mean, obviously everybody likes to get signed by a label, but then you're sort of bound to the constraints of the label, so to speak. If you're not with a good one, a bad one. How do you feel about that?
Yes. So the thing about the label is that they really help out the bands in terms of reach. So the promotion, especially. I think that's the most important thing. And we got pretty close to being signed, so, and we the only reason that we didn't get signed is because the band is not in the U.S. I'm the only one in the U.S.
Okay.
So, the labels, the first thing that they asked me was like, okay, so where are the dudes? And I had to tell, well, the band is back in Brazil. And they were like, okay, so how are we going to promote the album? How are we going to, how's the band going to tour in the U.S. if the band's not here? And then I couldn't promise them anything. I couldn't tell them that, no, we're going to do it, because it's hard. It's hard to get like a whole band, moved to a different country.
Yeah.
So we got close to Scenery Media, which is one of the biggest labels in the metal world, and also EMP, which is Dave Ellison's label.
Right.
So we got pretty close to get signed, but like I said, unfortunately the band, is not in the U.S. And then the labels thought that it would be tough to promote the band that way.
And then the virus came along and everything went to.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a whole different story, but that just messed everything up. Yeah, definitely.
You guys have stayed somewhat busy through. You've done some online fests. You've released some videos. But still nothing like touring. But how was it doing the online fest?
Yeah, so we did 3 online fests, all in Brazil. So what we did is, we recorded like each one of us were in different places because of COVID. Well, I recorded my parts in my private studio in LA, in my practice room. Then the other guys, they recorded in their own homes. And then we just put the video together. So we did 3 online festivals. We also put out a lyric video to an original song that we wrote, and we put it out this year. So yeah, we've been keeping busy, even though we can't go out, like on tours or anything like that.
Yeah, it's got to be amazingly frustrating.
Definitely, yes. Especially because, last year, like you said, we put out the album in August, and then in October, we opened for Iron Maiden in our hometown. So that was a fantastic experience because, Iron Maiden in Brazil is like gigantic.
Yeah.
And, they play in like soccer stadiums. So we opened for Iron Maiden in front of like 40,000 people. And that was pretty amazing. So we were planning to go out on a European run for 2020. So we got signed to a booking agency in Europe, and we were setting everything up to tour Europe. But then obviously everybody's plans got messed up due to COVID. We were really hoping that 2021 would be like a big deal, but plans got postponed, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I saw a thing somebody put up a meme or something. 2021 is now saying to 2020, "Here, hold my beer." It's just kind of like,
and it seems like 2021 is not going to be that different from 2020, unfortunately.
Now in 2020,
in terms of touring at least.
Yeah, exactly. Now in 2020 though, you did put out a track, a very special track. You wrote the lyrics to. I Don't Want to Say Goodbye. It's a tribute. Tell us about everything on that.
Yeah, so in 2019, this huge Brazilian metal artist called Andre Matos, he passed away suddenly. So he just had a heart attack at 47, and he just pretty much shocked everyone in Brazil. And he's I would say that next to Max Cavalera, he pretty much personifies heavy metal in Brazil.
Yeah.
Because Angra, right?
Yes.
Angra?
Yes. Fantastic
man.
Yeah,
he's like the original singer from Angra. He recorded 3 albums with Angra and a bunch of other bands and solo album. The guy's a legend, like a true icon. And I was like a huge fan of his, huge fan. And we just, and then a lot of tributes started to pop up. Like people recording his songs and doing like covers. But like I said, I was such a fan of his, and we were just so shocked that we just thought that we should write a song for him.
Yeah.
Pay our respects, and in the form of an original song. And that's what we did. And the weird thing that happened, not weird, but kind of magical, to be honest, is that, well, we talked about, putting, like writing a song to honor him, but we didn't really, we didn't really, like, how can I put it? We didn't really, what's the word now? I lost the word, but it wasn't something that we really set to do. We just talked about it,
Right.
And then I just got some inspiration out of nowhere, and then I just started to write the lyrics. And while I was writing, Magnus, who's the guitar player and the main songwriter, he sent me, like a piece of music that he was working on that was also, also to work on the song for Andre Matos. So we were both working on the song together, like in separate continents, without, without even, like talking about it, pretty much. So that was something really cool, and the song turned out to be like, well, obviously I'm biased to say, but I think it's a beautiful song, and I think that if he was alive, I think well, at least I hope that he would enjoy it and like it, be proud of it.
It's a nice song, great lyrics, and the video where everybody sent in the pictures was phenomenal.
Yeah. So that was an idea of our lead singer, because the song is pretty much it's from fans, because we are fans, of Andre Matos. So our singer Jonathan, he just thought, since the song is from fans, maybe we should get more fans into the video. So that's what we did. We asked people to send us like photos with him. And we got like around like 100 people sending us photos, and we just put it in the video, and I think it looks pretty cool. At least we got a bunch of comments on the video.
Absolutely.
People saying that how nice it looks and all that. So we're proud of it. We're definitely proud of it.
Absolutely, it's phenomenal. Great job. I want to ask you,
Thank you.
about a couple of tracks on Ice Shell. Something that kind of jumped out at me. Ice Cell. The tune I want to talk about is Hole in the Shell. I love that track, and the first thing that jumped out at me was, here's a heavy metal band with an accordion. How did that all work?
Well, yeah. So the accordion, we've been working with the accordion since the Scalarata days. So in our first album, we do have one track with an accordion player. And then on our second album, we have two tracks, with the accordion. And that's also something that our guitar player, Magnus, he came up with that. Because, here, so we're from the south of Brazil, and there's a genre of like folk music called milonga. Milonga. Okay. And the milonga is like, like I said, like folk music that that uses a lot the accordion. So Magnus, he grew up with that sound, because his grandfather, he's like one of the, again, like an icon in like popular music from the south of Brazil. He's like probably like one of the artists in Brazil that most like that sold the his number of sales of albums is huge.
Wow.
So Magnus grew up in that environment, and that's something that just kind of naturally poured out of him. Working with the accordion, and well, he ended up being like a metal guy, but that blend of metal with a milonga thing worked out pretty cool. So that's how it came together. And then when we decided to change the band's name to Rage in My Eyes, we thought that was one of the very cool things that we used to do in Scalarata, and we thought that was worth keeping. Not only keeping, but also trying to put it more and more into our music. So hopefully, and well, that's something that we do keep in mind, that we do have in mind, is to in our future stuff, still work with the accordion.
Yeah, that's very cool stuff.
Because it is something different, and I think it works pretty well.
It does. It brings a great melody to it.
Yeah, and it's something that I don't know of any other metal band that has an accordion, so I think it's pretty
Yeah.
fresh and pretty new. I know that some people find it a little strange, maybe,
Mm.
but I think it's always worth to try different things.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. 100%. Another track that I really like, and I love the title. I like one word titles. And when I saw Blank, I said, "This is good." You know. Tell me a little bit about Blank. I love that tune.
Okay, so Blank, that's pretty cool because that song is actually a song that I wrote,
Okay.
and that was the first song ever, from all our four albums, including the Scalarata albums. That's the first song that I write that ends up in an album,
Mm,
and yeah, I'm pretty proud of that one
yeah.
too. It's one of my favorites, especially the chorus. I think it's pretty strong chorus.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't write the melodies. I wrote like the riffs
Mm,
and some drum riffs that turned up. Then we put some guitars on top.
yeah.
Yeah, and the name of the song is weird because, to be honest, that name was like every song when the band is first working on it. But the songs, they don't have like the names yet.
Right.
Like the final names.
Yeah.
So the songs, they just have like nicknames to them. And Blank was the nickname to the song. And then we couldn't find like a strong word in
Yeah.
in the lyrics to make it like the name, like the title.
Yeah.
So we just kept it like Blank.
That's great. That's a great
So
story.
I'm just being completely honest here.
Yeah. Hey, I love it. That's very cool. The other one that I really liked that jumped out at me as I was listening was Soul Gatherer. I really liked that tune.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so that track is a little bit like, I would say, a little bit more rock
Mm,
instead of metal.
yeah.
And yeah, it has some pretty nice hooks to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A little more melody and stuff. Great tune.
exactly.
Yeah. I've got to ask, as a band who backed Paul Di'Anno for a bunch of tours and then got to open for Maiden, that's like a great bookend. I mean, first off, what was it like being up there with Paul Di'Anno? I mean, I saw a video of you guys on YouTube and somewhere doing Wrathchild, and it was phenomenal. It was great. What was it like sharing a stage with a legend like that?
Well, yeah, I mean that's the right word. I mean, he's definitely a legend,
Yeah,
because well, the first Maiden albums, they pretty much changed the metal world because it had a huge impact back then, and
definitely.
most bands, even in America, they just, if you listen to interviews, from people like Dave Mustaine or Dave Ellefson, or Lars Ulrich, they all mention Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
When they were, when those bands first started. So Paul Di'Anno, he definitely has like put his mark into metal music, as a whole.
yeah,
And well, we grew up listening to Iron Maiden, obviously, and well, when I was a teenager and I was listening to those songs, I would never ever think that someday I would end up playing with that guy
yeah,
and being part of his band. So that's definitely something pretty pretty heavy. Something
yeah,
that that means a lot. Definitely means a lot. Um, it's a heavy feeling, to be playing those songs with the original voice, and well, I'm the drummer, right?
yeah,
So I sit in the back, and every time I was playing and I was looking, up front, I was seeing like Paul Di'Anno in front of me.
yeah.
Well, I was seeing his back,
Right.
and he's bald, so I was seeing like his big bald head
Yeah,
in front of me, and I was thinking, holy shit, this is Paul Di'Anno.
yeah, yeah. To sit
And I'm
there and
playing.
play those tracks with him, like you said, must have been mind blowing.
Yeah, man, and you know what? And he's such a cool guy because not only we were his backing band, but we were also opening every single show as Scalarata.
Oh wow.
So Scalarata would go up on stage, play like a 30, 40-minute set.
All right.
We would go off stage, have like a 30-minute break, and then go back up on stage, but with a different singer, which
Right.
is Paul. Uh,
No warm up
so,
required for that gig.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
and he was really cool because we had our Scalarata backdrop, up, and during his show, he never asked us, to take it down. So we were playing his show, with the Skelerata backdrop, in the back, and well, he also recorded in our album called The Sniper.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an appearance from him in 2 tracks. In the tracks called Rising Sun. In Rising Sun, it's like a small part,
right?
But in the track In My Blood, it's like a bigger chunk of the song that he sings on. So yeah, we got to be close friends.
Nice.
And we still, even though it's been like 6 years now that we didn't play because he pretty much retired.
Right.
We still online. We still interact, and we still like talk online and through Facebook Messenger or
right.
even Instagram and WhatsApp. So yeah, man, that's something that I'm pretty proud of and very, very, very thankful to Paul.
Yeah. And then you get to open for Iron Maiden. I mean, how was that?
Yeah, well, that was another thing that, wow. Well, like I said, we all grew up to Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's still hard to believe that happened. I remember still the day that I got the news that that we were confirmed to do the opening gig. I was just, I live in Pasadena, which is LA County. I was walking, Old Town Pasadena with my wife and a friend of mine, and I saw a message coming in my phone, like, oh, hey, we're confirmed to open for Iron Maiden, and I mean, I swear to God, I froze. I was walking down the street, and I literally, I mean, not literally, of course, but I froze. I mean, I just kind of like, I froze. My wife, she kept walking, and I just stopped, just looking at my phone, and I'm like, oh my God, just saying that, and then my wife, she turned around, and she was like, what happened? Who died?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I can't believe this. Yeah. So that was amazing. And the cool thing is that we sent our stuff, through a local promoter, here from Brazil, through a local promoter. He asked us to send him our material because he was going to send the material to Maiden. Okay. Right. So it was us and I think like 4 or 5 other bands. So all the bands from the material from all these bands were sent to Maiden's management, and then they picked us. So that's something also to be very proud of.
That's where all the hard work pays off.
Exactly. Perfect. Yeah.
Cool. My understanding, to go back in time, they do a little bit of This Is Your Life. Your life sort of changed when you were 9. You were in Brazil. You watched Rock in Rio 2 on TV, saw Guns N' Roses, and it was all over from there. You put together, your cousin had a drum kit or something, you played on his, but then you put sort of your own together and bashed away on that for a little while?
Yeah, so that's right. So Rock in Rio. So the second edition of Rock in Rio was in 1991. Yeah. I was actually 11. Okay. I think 11 or 12 or something like that. And man, that Rock in Rio had an amazing lineup. It was like, had bands like Megadeth, Judas Priest, Sepultura, Guns N' Roses, and many more. But I remember that the Guns N' Roses show, it was live on TV. So I was watching it on TV, and I remember that I knew some of the songs, like songs like Patience and Sweet Child of Mine. So those were songs that I've previously heard, but I had no idea who played them. Okay. They're just songs that sometimes you listen on the radio or something. Yeah. And then I was watching those dudes, playing those songs, with all that energy and that look, like those long-haired tattooed guys. Yeah. And man, that was something that hit me pretty hard. And well, I was at a cousin's house, and he had a drum set. He was playing. He's like 2 or 3 years older than I was, so he could already play, some beats and all that. And I was watching him play, and I remember thinking, hey, I think that I could do that. But he never let me play on his drum set.
Oh, really? He never did?
He never let me play on it. And then that's why, once I got back home, I put together my homemade drum set with whatever things that that we had. Well, we lived in an apartment, and whatever we had, my parents had,
Yeah.
I would just put together and try different sounds until I had something that kind of like sounded like a real drum set.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think is pretty cool because nowadays it's way easier for kids because you just turn on YouTube and you can
Right.
see like the best drummers in the world perform.
Well, that was
You know,
that was something I wanted to talk about because I read about that too. You and your brother used to jam. He played guitar. I think I read right.
exactly, yeah.
And but you were trying to put all this together pre-internet, through magazines or with lessons or this is the real old days. I was there. I remember what it was like too pre-internet, and
Yeah,
so that you were truly a self-made drummer.
yeah. I mean, because I'm talking 1991,
Yeah.
and I started taking lessons in 1993.
Okay.
So there was like a 2 year, and those 2 years I just was definitely learning all by myself.
Mm.
In Brazil there were no drum related magazines.
Yeah.
So we had just like rock magazines
Mm.
that you could that you could just purchase on the newsstand, but so you just look at pictures, of drum sets and drummers. And like I said, I also had my cousin that I saw perform in front of me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I pretty much put the whole thing together, just by memory from what I saw, with my cousin. And then listening to the albums and trying to figure out what was going on,
Sure.
what the drummer was playing,
Yep.
So I think that's pretty important because it's like an ear training thing,
Yep.
right?
Right.
It's not visual at all. It's like 100%, like ear training. So I think that really helped, like develop this part of me as a drummer.
Sure. And it was your dad that bought you your first kit, your first real kit?
Yeah. So, but that was like, man, I think like 5 years later or so.
You wanted to make sure you were going to stick with it.
Exactly. Yeah. So like most parents, I guess.
Yeah. So going forward now, with Rage in My Eyes, you put out, the I Don't Want to Say Goodbye track in 2020. The world is still pretty much on hold. Are you guys creating some more new music? Are you still hoping to do something with IceCell? What's Rage in My Eyes up to right now?
Yeah. So we have some new songs that all we have to do is pretty much like rehearse them, and shape them, and then go into the studio and record. So, probably what's going to happen is that if everything goes as we expect, we're definitely going to record some 3 to 4 tracks this year, and put out an EP or something like that.
Okay.
Because like full length album. It saddens me to say, but I think that they're part of the past now. I think that if you're not Metallica or Bon Jovi or whatever, like gigantic band,
Yeah.
I think that it makes more sense to put out, let's say, 3 to 4 new songs every year.
Mm-hmm.
Than to put like a full length album like of 12 songs every 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
So especially because people nowadays they just what most people do is they make like playlists,
Right.
on their phones. They just pick a few tracks, make a playlist. It's all only like old school people that listen to an album from start to finish.
Right. And I'm one of those old people.
So am I.
But
so am I.
But at the same time, it's such a here today, gone tomorrow world, particularly in music, that the sheer volume. I mean, I went into my email when I got home. I must have 20 downloads, of albums and stuff coming out. The volume, you've got to keep yourself in the mix constantly.
Yeah.
Or else you're gone,
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, you got to just, try to keep busy. And man, it's a tough business because, especially, now due to COVID, it's really hard to make a living, with a metal band.
Right.
I'm sure you know that, So definitely. if you're not like a big band, it's pretty hard to make a living, and you still got to keep working.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're definitely going to be in the past. So you just gotta keep making music and just go out on tour when possible.
Right.
Sell merch and all that stuff because merch is a big deal now.
Yeah.
I think probably more than it was in the past.
Definitely. That's where everybody's. If you're gonna make any money at all, it's with that. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Chatting with Francis Cassol here, drummer for Rage in My Eyes. Their album Ice Cell came out in 2019. You can still pick it up, right? Do you guys have physical copies, or is it all digital?
No, we do have physical copies that we have done through a label in Brazil.
Okay.
So, but you can purchase the album, through our website from any part of the world.
Right.
We mail them. We mail the album to anywhere.
Perfect.
So doesn't matter where you are, you're going to get the album.
All right.
So our website is rageinmyeyes.com. And then you go into the website, and then you can just click on our store.
Right.
Yeah, and get the album.
Excellent.
But still, the album is also on every like platform or on every streaming platform that you can think of. Like YouTube, Spotify, Deezer.
Yep.
That helps. If you play our album on on any of those platforms, still helps a lot.
Absolutely. Francis, I always like to end things with just some fun, silly questions. I'm hoping these are questions maybe you've never even been asked before. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. First car you bought with your own money.
First car. Okay. So that was late 2019.
Really?
Yeah. So it's a Honda Fit.
Okay.
So that was the first car that I bought with my own money.
Excellent. If you could pick a television show to have a Rage in My Eyes song placed in, what show would you like it placed in?
Wow. I never thought about that. Probably something like dark and and heavy-ish, something like, I don't know, maybe Mindhunter.
Okay, yeah.
You know that show, Mindhunter?
Sure. A lot of other people have mentioned Ozark, that Netflix series.
Oh, I love that one, Ozark. Yeah, I love that show.
That's definitely dark.
But I think Mindhunter is still darker.
Yeah, I agree.
A little bit more tense.
Yep. Favorite superhero?
Well, I gotta be honest, I'm not a superhero guy, but I think that my favorite is Batman.
All right, do you have a favorite villain then, if you're not a superhero guy?
Well, I absolutely loved the last Joker movie.
Yeah.
So I would stick to Joker.
That was a great one. Late at night and you're hungry, what do you grab for a midnight snack?
Midnight snack. Probably, I was gonna say toast, but I'm not sure if that's a good good food to eat late at night.
Toast works.
So maybe an apple.
Okay. What is the last piece of music other than your own you listen to? Like the last song, last artist you listen to, other than something of your own?
You mean like today, that I listened to today?
Sure.
Yeah, so I was listening to Halloween today. The album called Master of the Rings.
Yeah. Great album.
That came out, I think it was 1994. So yeah, I was listening to that. I listened to the whole album today in my car.
Very cool. Favorite toy growing up as a child?
Favorite toy. Okay, so I had. Wow, so now we're talking about the 80s. So I don't even know the name of the toy, but it was like a cartoon. Maybe you remember. What it was like. So it was. Well, I'm also a fan of Thundercats. You know Thundercats, right?
Yeah.
But it was a different cartoon that was also like Wildcats. But then 5 different cats that then they came together and formed like a huge robot.
Okay.
And then each limb of the robot was like one of those cats. I don't
vaguely
know,
remember it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it either. I can see it, but I can't place it.
Yeah, well, I remember having that toy, and also there was another show called Mask.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I also remember having those toys. Pretty cool.
All right.
That was a long time ago, like
Yeah,
30
absolutely.
years ago or so.
Yeah. All right. Favorite topping for your pizza?
Well, I'm vegan.
Okay.
Okay, so I do eat pizza. We just had pizza last night,
All right.
but it's cheese made out of cashews.
Oh,
You
really?
know,
Huh.
yeah, it's man, fantastic, amazing.
Huh. Very cool.
Um, Now the topping, they make it a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
I'll keep it simple. Tomatoes.
Okay. Perfect. All right, last one, and this is the one we have the most fun with. If they were to make a movie of your life, what actor would you have play you in the movie? And it's your movie, your life. You can pick anybody.
An actor. Okay. Well, the first guy that came to mind was Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we just talked about Joker, so
Joker.
probably
Yeah.
that's why the first guy. But I remember watching one of his movies called. He was like a young kid. Ruskies, I think it's called.
Hmm.
Ruskies. So I remember watching, one of his movies like in the '80s,
Yeah.
and I'm still a fan of. So probably Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay. Yeah. The movie of his that I liked the best was 8 mm with Nicolas Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen that one?
I don't think so. I don't recall.
You want to talk about something dark? Check it out. I won't get into the subject, but it's dark. All right, just to get us back to music, and I know you give lessons as well. If a youngster was
Yes.
to come up to you and say, Mr. Cassol, when I grow up, I want to be a drummer in a rock and roll band, what advice would you give him?
Well, if I was gonna be like 100% completely honest,
Mm.
I would probably say, hmm, maybe that's not a good idea. Because it's a lot of work, man,
Yeah.
and well, you got to work hard on your instrument,
Mm-hmm.
like to be like a good player, and to be a good player, it's not, that's something basic to be a good player. That's
Mm.
something. I mean, if you're not a good player, you have absolutely no chance.
Right.
So you can't think that okay, I'm a good player, I'm ready. No, that's something that you just it's a given. I mean, you have to be great at what you do. And then, well, that's the first thing. The second thing is you got to be somebody like easy to have like a relationship with, like
Sure.
professional relations. You can't be like like you can't have like a rock star attitude. You have to be a humble guy. You have to be always like on time.
Mm.
You have to come up to rehearsal with all the songs down.
Mm. Yep.
That's very important. And the third thing that's probably the most important is to have it's all about like networking.
Yes.
So you have to know people, but at the same time you got to be careful because you don't want to push too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have to be
Right.
like like 100% be like honest with yourself and true to yourself.
Mm.
But then at the same time have like like a good network of connections.
Mm.
Because that's probably the most important thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's great. Great advice, Francis. I love it. And you get that every once in a while about trying to be a decent person and on time and know your songs and to be a bandmate, you got to be a member of the team. So
Definitely.
very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Very
yeah.
cool.
I mean, well, to be in a band. Well, I always compare a band to a marriage.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, but the band. It's way harder because in a marriage it's just like only two people,
Right.
right? So you have two, well, different people,
Right.
and you have to in a marriage you also have like great stuff like sex, for instance.
Yes.
In a band, it's five dudes,
Right.
all of them with their own lives, with probably with different worldviews or whatever,
Yeah.
and there's no sex involved. At least in most
There's
bands.
no makeup.
Yeah.
You have
So
a fight, you can't make up that way.
exactly, and makeup sex is a huge part of a marriage. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's man, it's tough. So you got to be easygoing, and you got to do your best to understand the other people, the other guys.
Yeah.
You got to be careful not to feel like disappointed,
Right.
because people will disappoint you. You can't expect too much of people because, like I said, each people, each person has like their own life, their own personal lives, and their own worldviews. So you just got to be patient. And well, I got to tell you, in the past, we had like a bunch of different lineup changes. I always was like personal friends to everyone that I ever played with.
Sure.
And people left the bands for different reasons. Like one guy got married and wanted to start his family. The other guy joined a different band, and stuff like that. And I can tell you that today, in Ridge in My Eyes, we are all very close friends, and I think it's pretty hard that we're ever going to get in a fight or something like that. And in a band context, usually what happens is when there's a fight, it's not a bad thing most of the times, because if everybody's committed, usually the fight is about something that because all people in the band, they want the band to become to grow and be bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
So people just bring different different suggestions, and sometimes the suggestions people like get in arguments and stuff like that. But it's actually always for the good, looking for the best.
So if you can turn it into a positive and into a creative thing, then it's just going to bring that much more to the band.
Exactly. And it's the worst thing, I think, is if the band doesn't interact at all.
Right.
Because then that means that probably what happens is people are just not committed enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Then you're not a band, you're like a lounge act, where you just show up and go through the motions and do it,
Yeah, well, yeah, that's no good.
Yeah, exactly. Francis, this has been fascinating conversation. I've enjoyed every minute of it. Once again, we've been chatting with Francis Cassol, drummer for Rage in My Eyes. Much success, luck, and going forward, and hopefully everything clears up sooner rather than later, and you guys can get back out on the road and playing some tunes live, which is what you do,
Yeah, I mean, that's what we pretty much like everyone hopes for.
Yeah.
Hoping that this whole thing just becomes part of the past as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And well, I want to thank you for inviting me to do this. I'm very flattered, and I want to excuse myself if my English is not 100%.
Yeah, you did great. It's awesome.
I try my best.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's hard. Sometimes the words just you can't find the right words, but
No, it was great. Awesome chat, Francis.
Thank you, Lance. Well, once again, thank you for having me, and
All right. Take care. Hopefully, we'll have you again sometime in the future as well.
Sure. And whenever we have new stuff out, I'll definitely send it over to you, Lance.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Lance.